Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique, the only place that allows you to have insightful African football conversations. Now, there's been a question where a lot of people have been asking as to why Didier Drogba was wearing a shirt that says CAN 2023. Well, let's get you out of your misery, simply because CAN is AFCON in French.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to say it though. Can.
Yes, can.
Yes, it's gone. So that's what it is. It's not Chan, it's gone 2023. Let's get into the trivia question. As you can see, I'm already with Brian Mofokeng. Last week, we asked you about penalties that were scored, excluding the shootouts before the quarterfinals. How many penalties were scored? But also, we want to know from you, what was the record prior to this current AFCON?
11 was the number before, 2008-2021. The new record that was actually scored before we got into the quarterfinals, 13 penalties were scored this year. So this has been a very good AFCON overall. Records are being broken left, right and center.
Yeah, maybe not forget the men who missed their penalties. Percy Dao. We also had Ashraf Hakimi and Nsue, also part of that list.
Do you want to go back to that one?
But that was before the quarterfinals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that is the answer for last week's trivia question. Brian, give us this week's trivia question.
This week we're saying, because Cote d'Ivoire in the final.
Yeah.
Let's now keep it at home.
Okay.
Host nations.
All right.
Which was the last host nation to win an AFCON?
Okay.
And which year was that?
Which was the last host nation to win the Africa Cup of Nations, and in what year did that happen? I did say to Papa Jeff before, right? Yeah. Before we got into this conversation that back in the year 2015, Cote d'Ivoire, actually they didn't host it, so it's fine. It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with that. I know where you're going with that.
It doesn't count. But anyway, let's get into the conversation. Let's talk about the Super Eagles up against the boys. Where unfortunately South Africa's hearts were broken by Nigeria, but it was a penalty shootout. And you know, when it is a penalty shootout, it really is anyone's game.
When we talk about the starting 11, when I saw the starting 11 for the two nations, and I realized that Nigeria had made one change, you know, Samuel Esai, Bright Osai coming into the starting 11. There was no place for Sanusi, who was missing from the team completely. Yeah. Then from a South African point of view, they dropped Tapelo Morena. They brought Siana Kulu to be the screen, just ahead of the central pairing in defense. So it was always going to be very interesting. But I got to say, Samuel Masai had a brilliant game overall for the Nigerians. Then, after Nigeria had scored, the question was, what will happen with Bafana? Yes. They have not been able to come back when they've conceded so far in this competition, because they played against the West African nation, and that was when they played against Mali. Yeah. When a goal down, couldn't come back, 2-0 they lost that game. Then they won against the Namibians, managed to get draws in between, eventually won their game when they played against Morocco in the last 16 before winning via penalties against Cape Verde Island. When Nigeria scored, it looked like the writing was on the wall, that the history will repeat itself. 2000, South Africa against Nigeria, semi-finals, Nigeria defeated South Africa by 2-0. Was it going to be the same story? There was a turning point. Yeah. Goal scored, VAR refers, penalty given, South Africa scores, 1-1 the scoreline. Nobody can actually separate the two nations. 120 minutes of football played. The hero from a previous tournament, a previous match, talking about Ronan Williams, was supposed to up his end again in this game. Nigeria had a different way to look at it. And I have to say, when you look at Nigeria, their changes were spot on. Amarua came and scored a penalty. You know, one player who has not started in this competition.
Come on. And he scored the important penalty. Get to it. Get to it.
Kelechi comes in, and he's the one who's given the last penalty. He has not played he hasn't played a game in this one. Only played 18 minutes. Insane. But he scored the most important penalty. You're going to look at it. Tebo Mokoena took the penalty same side, saved by the goalkeeper. Yeah. You know, look at the one where Evans Mahopa could have been better. Literally perfectly poised for the goalkeeper, saved it.
I think with Evidence Mahopa, he boxed his body, which he didn't give himself space to open up his body and take that penalty.
The goalkeeper knows where you're going when you're standing like that, because there's no way we're gonna go to the left. You can't open up your feet. As a right-footed player, you box yourself, it means you can only go, who couldn't go to the left-hand side, where the goalkeeper got it. So I think it's a big one indeed here. But I mean, that also set up a very good final. Yeah. Nigeria up against Cote d'Ivoire. It is going to be one of those Cote d'Ivoire's going to look at it and say, you know what? You did defeat us in the group stages. Yeah. Time for us to come back and show you what we can do as a team, as a nation. Yeah. You know, so it's going to be very nice to see how this one is going to pan out. I remember Cote d'Ivoire, in all the finals they've been to, there have never been a goal scored in all the finals they've played in.
Penalty shootout.
Penalty shootouts have been the order of the day.
And you don't want Cote d'Ivoire in a penalty shootout.
No, but they've lost 2, they've won 2. So it's anybody's game at the moment. Nigeria, on the other hand, they've won 3 of the final of the 7 they played in and lost 4 of those. So the question is, can they make it their 4th one and join the likes of Ghana with 4 titles each? Or will Cote d'Ivoire join Nigeria for 3 titles in overall? I mean, so that for me is a very interesting thing to look at.
I want us to talk about certain individuals within the teams, people who are expected to be playmakers. I mean, I've watched a couple of the Nigeria games with people who are big Victor Osimhen fans, but they say that they don't see his influence in the team. He's not playing like he's the best player on the African continent.
I disagree.
Perhaps from your side.
I disagree with that. I think what Osimhen is doing for Nigeria, he's become that outlet that everybody's looking at. But he's creating space for the likes of Lukman to shine. Simon has come up to shine because of him, because the attention is always centrally focused on him. The knockdowns he has been able to get for Nigeria have been unbelievable. I mean, yesterday, if it was not a penalty that was given to South Africa,
this week it was.
If this week, if that didn't happen, we could have seen a different story. But overall, you look at him, there's so much pressure on the player coming to the tournament like this one. That is why every time he's playing, you can hear from the fans in the stadium, his surname is chanted continuously.
Absolutely.
Because they know how important the player is for the team.
Absolutely.
To show how important he is, there was an issue about his abdominal issue before they played against South Africa. But they had to literally drive him all the way from
In other words, not Hergemal.
But, somebody was saying maybe it's because the fear of playing at this level. But I tell you, sometimes you need to have those experienced players to come on into the field of play and deliver for the team. And Nigeria, when everything was needed, the cards were stacked against them because South Africa were in ascendance in that game. They managed to absorb the pressure, managed to do what is very important. I mean, look at Trost Ikong. At some stage, he's not been playing.
What a leader.
But now he's here, leading them to the final, to get it there.
We have to leave it there. We have to leave it there. But I guess next week, I'll get your overall thoughts of South Africa, right? And this is once, and I'm going to say this, once they clinch the bronze medal. Once they clinch the bronze medal. But Trost Ikong, who would have thought? Many people say the defenders cannot score penalties. Well, he said, think twice. I'm going to step up every single time and I'm going to find the back of the net.